Dude, when we live in this motherfucker, man, it's your boy BOZ, the Smack God. This is the Smack God Pod. And today I have with me Jordan, the Juggernaut pal. Hey, what's cracking with you, dog?
What's up, man? Nothing much. Just getting ready for a fight. Just chilling, relaxing.
So, when is your fight actually?
It's April 25th. It's gonna be what, 2 weeks from now, actually.
Okay, exactly 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Yep,
All
out in
right.
Arizona.
Right on, right on, right on. So for people, this is Smack God Pod episode 2. I'm choosing my guests in a very specific way. I want to chop it up with people. I don't want to like no hardcore interviews, whatever. I just want to chop it up, have cool, casual, like real conversations with motherfuckers who I think are talented. And
For sure.
you've always struck me as that. So yeah, I'm interested to kind of hear where you're at. Like I said, we had our first conversation many moons ago, probably a good 7-8 years ago almost, man, when you were a fighter for West Coast Fighting Championships, one of the most underrated motherfucking organizations in the history of mixed martial arts.
No, it was really a good organization. I liked working for him. Brandon was, he's always upfront with me about stuff. He always made sure we were taken care of. Yeah, it was fun.
Dude, and we had some talent over there, man. Think about the guys who was over there. I mean, who are still at the big show right now. Cynthia Calvillo, Aspen Ladd, Fluffy,
Max,
Tess Healy, Max, King of Sacramento, Max Payne, Griffin, Josh. They were so stacked that Josh Emmett was there and he barely headlined. And that dude is fucking killing in the UFC right now, right?
Yeah.
Dave Mitchell. Dave Mitchell was subbing so many motherfuckers. Dave Huckabee. You know what I mean? Like yourself, Dre, Benito.
Yeah.
Benito Lopez. Just a bunch of dudes who could fucking fight over there in this little ass Sacramento local organization, right? That's wild.
It really was. I think I feel it's kind of crazy how much talent just resides in Sacramento itself when it comes to mixed martial arts. Because there's so many of us, even ones who haven't made it to the big show yet.
Big show, yeah.
So it's just, we're heading there though. But Sacramento is just stacked with just talent, period.
Yeah, like Sacramento's so jiggy that if you go out to the bars downtown in Sacramento, you just don't even want to get into a fist fight because you never know. The little short ass 5'5" white dude could be treading a Team Alpha Miller, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
MMA Gold or something. You know what I mean? You never know. So you get out there, you gotta be cool. Like,
you really do.
Shit, I'm over here chilling. I ain't on no shit.
You really do.
Yeah, man. So you have, all right, so let's just, before we get into like, I want to talk about your fight, but just this is interesting for people to kind of know like who you are. Like, how did you even decide? Because fighting is a crazy profession.
Yeah.
What was it? Was there like, did you watch it fight? Like, yo, I want to do this. Did you watch some Bruce Lee and wanted to fight? Or what made you decide I want to be a professional fighter?
So I've done martial arts for a long time. Started when I was like 5 or 6, just with traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu and like taekwondo. And so I've been doing that for a while. I never really did too many like tournaments and stuff. Never just had the money for all of the stuff that comes with it, travel, shit like that. So I never really did too many of the tournaments, but just in it. Stopped like around high school, didn't really train, messed around with friends, just bullshit, play fighting. But honestly, for the longest time, I thought that the only thing I could really do with martial arts skills is like be an actor. And I mean, that seemed cool, but I wanted to do something more with it. And then I remember going to a cousin's house and he was watching like one of the first few UFCs when that shit was just primal. and I was watching
Yeah.
that shit. And I'm like, oh, all right, this shit's dope. I can get into this. And then probably like a year or so later, the that first Ultimate Fighter happened,
Yeah.
and yeah, from there I was just kind of hooked on wanting to be in MMA. And it was UFC for the longest time, but once I guess got more accustomed to MMA, once I really started paying attention to all what's the names around, for the last 5 or so years, I've been saying I wanted to be in like one, you know. I just felt like that's where I'd rather be when it comes to to how they promote things. I mean, still making good money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just how they do things. One is more my style.
That's smart. That's smart because I think a lot of people, and I've managed fighters in the past, and they all tell me they want to go. I want to go to the UFC. I want to go to the UFC. It's like, well, if I'm your manager, my goal is to get you the best money, the best deal. So
Yeah.
UFC is one potential place you could go, but if ONE FC or whoever it was who was at the time doing their thing, Strike Force or whatever, is offering you,
Yeah.
or Bellator is offering you a better deal, then that's where you want to go. Is
Yeah.
what I always felt, So it sounds like you've kind of learned the business, and you've been fighting for. I'm guessing, are you at a decade yet fighting professionally?
No, I don't think so. Close, but no. I'm at
No.
like
8.
9 years. Yeah.
Okay, so close. So you're
Close.
closing in on 10 years in the game, so you kind of know, like what's going on and everything.
Yeah.
So when you started Taekwondo, when you started the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, who was it that got you in it?
My auntie had got me in it when I was living in Oakland. So she brought me to this Jamaican dude who he was teaching, traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, which has like, punches, kicks, it's like kind of karate all mixed. And yeah, I was doing that for like 3 years, and then I moved from Oakland and I moved up to Turlock for a while. When I was out in Turlock, I did Taekwondo for a bit, and then when I moved to Sacramento, like I said, I got into high school and then it kind of just stopped.
So how long did you do Japanese Jiu-Jitsu then? Was it short
So
time?
that was like 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So did you get belted? Do they belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, it's still belts. They're different though. It's like yellow, green. Yeah, it starts at white, then it goes like yellow, green. It keeps going on. It goes on longer than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
All right. So here's a question I have for you. I love I love the arts. I love just about all of them. You talk about Taekwondo, if you understand anything about the arts, Taekwondo is kicking based and you don't do a lot of strikes to the head. Jiu-Jitsu, I understand Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, understand that is submission grappling.
Yeah.
The greatest martial art of all in the world, hilariously to me, is American wrestling. That seems to determine, or wrestling in general. Wrestling is the best martial art. We used to watch these Bruce Lee movies, and I remember Bruce Lee goes to like a wrestling gym and he kicks the shit out of these fucking wrestlers who are trying to bully him. And the dude's like, yo, can you show me that? And we all bought into like, yo, this fucking karate is the shit. If I could learn karate, I'd kick all these wrestlers' ass. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. The wrestler's gonna ground you, put you on your fucking back and grind you to fucking bits, right? But it was just kind of cool but it took a minute for us to figure this out. The first UFC was a long time ago. And for a time there, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the number one art, right?
Yeah. It was like what jiu-jitsu then wrestling, honestly. Like
then Mark Coleman kind of came in, those type of
yeah.
guys, Don Fry and those guys kind of came in. They kind of went back and forth, but for a while there, we've kind of had a back and forth about what the best martial art is. So my question for you is Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, how is it different than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it strong style, or you say there's strikes in it? And
yeah, there's strikes, there's throws. I've never really was taught any like holds or anything, submission style holds at all when I was doing it. So yeah, submissions are literally, more or less a newer concept with BJJ and stuff. It wasn't a part of traditional jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that your base then? You say that you're a Brazilian, I mean, Japanese jiu-jitsu base, or?
No, my base is more right now almost Muay Thai, if you will, striking period, but most of the things I utilize is, Muay Thai style, low kicks, the punching style, the knees. Muay Thai is that centralized, yeah.
I've seen you.
Before.
I've gone to one of your Muay Thai fights versus Black Mamba. Don't remember. Yeah, that was a good fight. It was actually a really good fight. You guys are both my boys. I was like, oh man, I can't pick one in this fight. These are two good dudes, man. That was actually a really good fight. That was a really
It was. I trained with them some too.
Yeah. I looked at that, and to be honest with you, to be completely honest with you, I thought that he was going to have too much experience for you because that's all he does. You're a mixed martial artist, and he's a Muay Thai dude. Like, that's what the fuck he dabbles into MMA, but, he's made his nut in Muay Thai. Yeah. And then when you went out there, it's like, you were out there, you guys were going blow for blow. I was like, this dude's fucking tough. That was a good fight, dude.
No, it was fun. It was different. I remember there were times where I was thinking of like tripping, but it's like Muay Thai tripping and then MMA tripping is different. MMA tripping, you usually want to go down with them. Muay Thai tripping, you can't. And I didn't really train trips to the point of keeping my balance. So it wouldn't have been, helpful for me to try to use them and stuff. So I remember like thinking about that and like trying to get like a good grip and stuff when we were clinched up and realizing there's a difference. And I don't need to be gripping that way right now anyway. So
yeah.
It was fun though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. That was one of them fights in the city that everybody was excited for. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's been a few of those. Remember Keto versus Max?
Yeah.
That was a big fight that the whole city of Sacramento came out for.
I was still amateur when that fight happened. Like I think I might have fought my first fight around that time. My first amateur fight around that time, and then I remember seeing the flyers because Dre was my teammate, and him and Max were really, really cool. So Dre had posted the flyer about it and everything, and posted he was going there. And so that's when I actually first learned about a West Coast fighting championship. And then I think I met Brandon probably a month or so after that at Thunder Valley at one of the Gladiator challenges because one of my old coaches, Ruben, he was fighting there.
Yeah, Gladiator. I remember Gladiator. Gladiator had bad bitches at it. When I went to Gladiator, they had bad bitches there. As the ring,
they were okay that day.
Okay, I had to post. Okay. When I went, I went to the one at the casino though.
Yeah. The Thunder Valley.
The one I went was at a different casino. I think it's like Feather Falls.
Oh, yeah, that might have been different then.
Yeah. So all right, different casino, different bitches. But the one when I went, it was bad. But more WFC, right? So that was a hot fight, right? Keto and Max. Then what was the next? Like to me, the next really hot fight I think was just scorching hot was Dave Mitchell versus Dave Huckabee.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
That was some shit.
That one was big.
That was some shit.
Yeah.
That was some shit that kind of spilled into the streets almost. And it was like, all right.
Yeah.
You got the Diaz brothers, Nate and Nick is down with this dude. And Dave's kind of connected to Team Alpha Male. Then, Huckabee, he got all the Northsiders with him. You know what I'm saying? Like a real dude. So they do the press conference, right? He's talking like, yo, my boys are seeing him around town at the gas station. Like, you want me to get him? And I'm like, he's like, no, I'll get him. That was one of the most funniest press conferences ever, right?
Oh man.
And then Dave Mitchell goes on to win that fight, right? Making him,
he was good with his submissions. Got to give him that.
you had to give it to him.
He knew how to submit a motherfucker.
Yeah. So it kind of made him, to me, Dave Huckabee was the king of Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
He was the heavyweight champion. He fought in World Series of Fighting, beat who was the commissioner? Ray Sefo? Beat Ray Sefo.
Yeah.
Defended the WFC title many times, right? So if Dave Mitchell beats him, makes him the king of Sacramento. So then the last biggest fight they ever did was Max versus Dave Mitchell.
Yeah.
You was on that card, right?
No, I wasn't on that card. By that time, I think I was fighting for Dragon House's title.
Was it Dragon?
That time.
Okay.
But I remember being at that fight though, and yeah, that was a fun one because that was quick. It was a lot quicker than people thought it was going to be. I thought it would have been a little bit more of a war. I thought that and I don't want to say it like disrespectfully, but I thought Dave's shot, it just felt like his shot looked better in other fights to me than that one. You know, so when he was shooting the way he did, Max was
he was shooting too far out. It was just like, I see that camera. Like, he was shooting for four. Like, he wanted a piece of the stand-up, and that was where he got in trouble.
Yeah, but I think that's where it really came from, is because, they came out, and then it looked like he was really trying to sit there and kind of like box Max, and, Max popped once, and then you could see him kind of like, all right, now I got to get in there and take him down. But I don't even know if he realized how far back he was at that time. Like, he could have just already been rocked. But his shots didn't seem that good at that night.
Nah, which was crazy because he's normally more clever with his mixing of the arts.
Yeah.
He normally mixes his arts. I don't know if there was just that much distance between him and Max or what, but that was not a good. I don't think I've seen the fight after that.
He did some stuff because I know he was fighting out in Russia, I think, for a while.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, for like ABC or something like, not ABC. I can't think of what that company is, but no, he was fighting out in Russia or something like that for a while. I remember seeing it, and then he kind of disappeared. And then I remember reading that story recently that he did, about like the head trauma and stuff like that. So, hopefully he's doing well with all that. But that's crazy to think about.
All right, speaking right up. All right, so enough about WFC. Let's talk about where you at right now. You are fighting in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain it to me. So if I understand it correctly, you're fighting in 2 weeks. And is this like a contender version for ONE FC, or how would you explain the card that you're on?
It's that, but it's a tournament. So it's more like the Ultimate Fighter for ONE FC, except there's no people living in a house or drama or any of that shit. It's just a 16-man heavyweight tournament. And the winner gets $100,000 and a contract with ONE FC.
So, it's heavyweight?
Yeah, heavyweight. Huh?
That's where you're at right now? It's heavy?
Yeah, I'm 240 right now.
240. So you don't have to cut weight for fighting at all.
Nope, and it feels great. So good.
I've seen you on fucking weight cut day, not looking happy at all.
Nah.
Miserable. I've seen you looking miserable on weight cut day.
Oh man, nah. Yeah, they when you said heavyweight, because I was out of town for work. I do concrete cutting, so I was out in Mount Shasta when the dude hit me up about the fight, and he said at the time I was supposed to fight March 13th, so he was asking if I could fight then, and that was 2 weeks away from then, so, and he said heavyweight, and I'm like, I've been training when I'm home. Screw it, why not? Like, what I got to lose? And when he told me what it was for, I was definitely like, yeah, no. It's like, why miss the opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I just got back, told my boss like I can't work out of town anymore, and yeah, started getting to work.
Okay. Okay. So damn. So the heavy. It's heavy. Okay. So is that intimidating? Is that like, oh man, these guys are gonna hit harder? Or is it maybe I'll be better here because I should have a speed and cardio advantage over some of these bigger dudes?
It's definitely that. I mean, you've seen me fight at 185, so I've gotten down there, but it's just not worth it to me anymore.
Yeah.
Like just losing all that weight, doing all the dieting. It's not like I'm eating bad right now, but like I don't have to like measure and do all that extra shit just to make sure that I can you know show up on weigh-in day the right size. Like
Yeah.
right now, I can just live
You can
do
live.
all the stuff I need to do.
Yeah.
It's like one less worry, which makes all the difference.
So you're mentally happier, and your spirit seems like it's probably more happy at this point.
Yeah,
So the question
and
is,
but I mean, I guess for me, studying, the just the heavyweight history of MMA period. Like, let's look at the people who are considered the best. None of them were like giant heavyweights.
that's a good
Like
point.
when you really think about it, Francis Ngannou will possibly be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Depending how the rest of his career goes, he could possibly be looked at one of the greatest that are actually giant. But when you truly think about the people which you consider the best, um, Fedor Emelianenko being one of them, Cain Velasquez, even Stipe Miocic, all these dudes were around,
Yeah. These guys are
between
not super heavy.
245, 235.
That's a very interesting point. If you think about this, if you watch, I watch boxing, I watch mixed martial arts, I watch a lot of different shit. And you can see a guy go from 155 to 170, 145 to 155, and his power stays at 145. He goes to 155, his power didn't go because those shots aren't affecting the larger dudes the same way it did at the lower weight.
Because those 155ers are really coming down from like 170, 180.
180, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right? But when people go up to heavyweight, the power travels, it seems like to me. Like I don't recall seeing a dude who I seen go up to heavy where his power didn't come with him. I see that lower weight classes, but on heavy, Daniel Cormier moves up, becomes heavyweight champion. Like I said, Stipe is not a large heavyweight, but he hits hard enough to rock big dudes. So it's an interesting move. It's a very interesting move for you.
Well, I think as when you're that size, there's power there, period. And cutting weight, you have to lose something,
Yeah.
Usually it's going to be size, and that size is usually going to be either muscle or fat you're losing, So either way, but we all know a lot of fat dudes who are strong as hell.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So it's not like there's not strength in all that size. There's just a whole lot else to it. So I think there is kind of just a natural strength to being a bigger person. And then when you take away the art of taking stuff away from you with weight cutting for, smaller weight classes, then you're just retaining power and you get to keep speed, especially if you've, worked at a smaller spot, then coming up to bigger, you can still retain speed if you do things correctly, if you're not trying to become a giant. So.
Yeah, so you're gonna come in eating steak, burritos. I mean, not burritos, probably not burritos, but you're gonna come in happy, full belly.
Yeah,
not have to worry about weight, not stressed out, loose, fast as shit. And you're fighting against who's Brandon Cash? Who's this dude?
He hasn't fought in a while, but I studied him. from what I could find. And I mean, you can call him essentially a technical brawler, if you will, not because his technique is like the best looking, but because he actually knows what it is he's doing. You know, he was
Mhm.
able to master a few basics to a point to where he can blend those in with what looks like basically just brawling. And that's where he gets a lot of good knockouts and stuff because people aren't paying attention to it because they're so focused on the fact that, you know, he's a big guy who's coming in swinging heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming in. So he does look like a bigger dude.
Yeah, I think he's like 6'5", and you know, like I said, I know he hasn't fought in I think 3 to 4 years,
Years almost. It looks like
and
almost
so
3 years.
like
Almost.
I doubt he's going to be any smaller. You know.
Yeah. So again, so that's not necessarily a disadvantage. You just know that the larger he is, potentially the slower he is. So you have a market advantage and I guess a strategy to use your advantage over him.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'll be a fun fight. Most likely it'll be a stand-up fight, but you never know. I think it's not smart to only expect that. It is MMA.
If I was him, I'd be working on my defensive wrestling because word on the grapevine is you're planning on taking him down and just wrestle fucking him.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely working taking people down.
No, you want to say that, so he has. Oh well, let me work. I'm gonna take him down defense. He's got something for it. You got, use strategies over here.
No, I have been actually working takedowns more, but more or less because for me, I feel like wrestling is still my weakest point. My jiu-jitsu has gotten a lot better, and that's been able to carry and hold me for a bit. But I still want to get my wrestling better. I still want to have, you know, as many threats as possible. Not
Absolutely.
just, you know, oh, we know he can strike, and if you take him down, you
Yeah.
know, he has a good submission game. You know, so it's still there's that little bit of something that's missing, and for me, that's that wrestling.
Yeah. So does Brandon Cash have wrestling or is he primarily a striker? He said technical
Um,
brawler, so
yeah, I think he's done like high school wrestling and stuff like that. Um, I've seen him a few times use it in the fights, but it's more, like I said, it is more defensive. Um, it doesn't seem like his ground game is like a really strong suit for him, but he knows how to use his body to keep you where he wants to keep you. You know.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
like I said, he's a big dude, and obviously, if he gets you down, gets on top of you, it's not gonna be a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. You don't want to be on the bottom of a big dude ever.
Yeah,
Ever. At least not me. So okay, so it's for one, it's a tournament.
yeah.
You beat this guy, you got a 12-man tournament. You've got to win 3 fights in order to get the 100 racks.
I think it's four.
4 fights to get 100 racks.
Yeah, 4 fights for
So
100 racks.
so think about that. So is at this point, is that the motivation, or is the motivation like this is what I do? I'm trying to get to be the best martial artist I can be. Are you coming in this fight any different aside from the size? Or is it just business as usual? Where are you at mentally, spiritually as you look at this opportunity?
Um, so, and as I said before, you know, um, I've been, you know, screaming at the top of my lungs, basically, whenever anybody who wants to listen listens, that one FC is where I wanted to go. Like I said, for the last 5 years, and here it is, you know, here it is right here for me. The opportunity is here. Um, I feel like that's just, you know, life telling me, hey, this is what you asked for. We're giving it to you. You still got to prove that you want it. And so for me, that's just where my mind is. It's like, hey, I got to still prove that I want this. And if I want it, then I'll go out there and do what I got to do. I'll train the way I need to train. And Like I've never felt better. I've just done as much. Uh, I've taken so much from this last year of basically doing nothing. Still training as much as I can, but really having nothing to really look for. I took so much of that time to, I guess, develop new habits and, really refocus how I'm looking at how I'm going to move forward in my fight career. And so I'm really excited just to see how just see the fruits of that labor of these changes, to see how these things manifest for me in the cage, because I've never felt better getting ready for a fight.
You're using words that triggered me in a good way. Manifesting things, you know what I mean? Like, I'm all about that. You didn't say the word pandemic, but you talked about the last year, and obviously we've been in the pandemic for the last year. So personally, myself, I've taken it as a time to reflect and kind of feel like, yo, what is it that I want to do with my life? I had a lot of time with my thoughts, which gave me a lot of time with, energy that I could erect to do things. So as a result, I'm on my podcast game. I've created a network. I've done a lot of different things, health wise. I didn't sit idle, even if it felt like I was sitting idle. My brain was never idle. There was never a moment where my brain was, you're not doing anything. My brain didn't shut off. I just had time to think about what I really wanted to do. I felt like God sat me down. God, the universe, life, sat me down for a reason to refocus on what it was. Because you could get in that rat race of doing this, doing that, and you're not changing anything, but you're hoping for different results.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what you were saying, is that here I was, and now I'm refocused and I feel better. Like the last year kind of resets you to where you feel better than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause, it's like you said, it's like if you really want something, it'll be given to you. If you're truly trying to seek how to do things, if you're open-minded to certain things, like some of the stuff that I'm utilizing that's helping, like some of it happened, it almost seemed like on purpose. Some of it almost seemed like an accident, but it was a happy accident, So shit like that. It's like just certain things just fell on my lap while I'm sitting here studying and considering certain things. It's like, oh, here comes something that falls on my lap. Here comes this that falls on my lap. And it's like, okay, let's put these things together. Let's see how we can work and let's see how we can move. And it's paid dividends.
I just got a text message, and it's from an insider inside of your camp. He said Jordan Powell wants to go to ONE FC because he likes Asian women. I don't know.
Yes, at some point in time, that was definitely the case.
That's what
I'm married now, so.
Oh, you married? Okay. Sorry, I'm my bad, bro.
Oh, good.
Are you married?
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
Almost 2 years, actually.
Okay, so it is fairly new. All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited to the wedding, so I didn't know.
We didn't have like a big wedding. It was really small.
Okay.
Yeah.
So children in?
No children yet.
You got married, no children? Are you nuts?
Yeah. Yeah.
That actually sounds kind of lit though. Married, no kids.
Yeah, I have kids. It's not bad.
Everything I got to do, I got to run by the kids. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go to the grocery store without checking to see if they got Captain Crunch. Hey kids, y'all got everything you need, or go to the store.
Yeah, no, I can just go to the store.
That sounds lit. Actually, what am I thinking? I went about this the whole wrong way. All right. Moving on. I'm excited to check out this shit at ONE FC. You know what I mean? Yeah. We'll probably have to talk one more time, like right before that fight. I want to see where your headspace is at because I like to gamble. So I want to know, should I put my money on Jordan? Put my money on Jordan? You know what I mean? I got to have the inside scoops. But moving away from that, like you mentioned a couple of things that's interesting to me. You got involved in Japanese jiu-jitsu at age 5 and Taekwondo at age 6 and everything. So the question I have for you is like, did you, and you said you was from Oakland, so it's kind of interesting. Again, did you grow up like doing typical black stuff, or were you like the alternative black dude that was just kind of just doing your own thing?
A little bit of both. So I definitely grew up doing typical black stuff, and I also got into like that alternative stage.
Yeah.
So I think more younger, it was definitely a lot of typical black stuff.
Did you go to the black church? Did your mama take you to the black church?
Oh man. It was right there by the old Coliseum.
Yeah.
I remember that because I remember the first time going, and I'm thinking we were going to the Coliseum for something, and instead we're going to this church like right next to it, and I'm like, oh. So then whenever we would go every Sunday, like I said, that first like whole month, every time I'm like, oh, we're going to the Coliseum for something, and it's always church. And then finally I just got used to it. I'm like, all right, this is a lot.
We are not going to the Coliseum. We are not going to watch the Raiders. We are not going to watch the Raiders.
Nope.
We are going to sit in this hot ass church.
Listen to this man yell.
I don't know why. Hey, black moms owe us all an apology. Like, y'all drug us these fucking churches every Sunday. And if you was like my mama, you had to go more than once a week, man. You might have to go Sunday school, some shit. You know what I mean? The whole
it was
shit.
more my grandma for me.
Oh, okay.
It was my grandma who had us. And then even when we moved to Sacramento, it was the same shit. And I was just like, oh man.
And people like, white people might be like, man, what's so wrong? You had to go to church? It's like, no. The black church. I didn't say church. White church is so easy. You're like in and out in an hour and 15 minutes. They be like, come in, say hello, sing a ridiculous hymn, pastor got one, and that's just over.
Oh no.
My church, I don't know if it was like mine's, that shit was like 9:30 to 12 for the first half, and then like 12 to 3:30. But it's like, man, it's like a full-time job on every Sunday. It's like
so during the pandemic, me and my wife, we were watching Transformation Church's little live streams a lot. And I don't know how many times I'm looking at those and I'm thinking like, man, it's like 2 hours. So I'm just like, man, like how much more God you got to talk about right now? And then like the preacher would be done. And then there's like the assistant preachers after him, and they're talking for another 20, 30 minutes and praying for people. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, come on, y'all gotta give me a break.
You're like, man, come on, man, shit. I go back to church. I'm definitely not going to the black church. I'm going to the white church. They get it in and out. That's one of the things that we have is like a shared black experience. We all got drugged to the black church.
Yeah.
That's a shared painful story for us all. So growing up, so were you into? So all right, so you're younger than me. Were you into like anime and shit, or is that not some shit you ever really done?
Yeah, I've been into it for a long time. Not all of them. But the ones I do like, I like. And a lot of the ones I like are like, I don't want to say underground, but they're not the most popular ones. I like the whole Gundam series, period. Like, I just love watching all of them. Like, even the weirdest ones, the like in-between ones, all the runoffs. Like, I found like a timeline cheat sheet, kind of. So I can watch it all in order.
Yeah.
Just going through.
You got to share that with me. I fuck with Gundam.
Yeah.
Gundam was dope. Gundam was like, there was like some real themes in there that were like important themes, like between love and war and peace. And you know what I mean? Like there was some real shit going on in those.
I found it just its outlook on the future fascinating. You know, the whole idea, I guess, of colonies and stuff of that nature, like space colonies and shit. I think that's hella cool. Like I want to be able to like see something like that before I die. That'll be dope.
I think it may happen with your boy
Musk.
Elon. Yeah, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's trying to colonize Mars. But yeah, okay. So Gundam. See, did you ever watch Robotech?
Robotech, I've only seen a few episodes of. That's the one where it was always like a plane that kind of grew legs and arms and stuff.
Well, Robotech was based on a spaceship landing on Earth in like 1999. This was in the future. It was like 1980s when it came out.
Yeah.
1999, the spaceship's going to land here. And the scientists of Earth are all going to study it. And based on studying the ship, they're going to develop new technology, new energy sources or whatever. So they start to build new technology for like war or whatever, transformable, the mecha stuff.
Yeah.
You know, really like it kind of invented the idea of mecha, and then Gundam took from Robotech and took it further.
Yeah.
So it didn't grow legs. They just took the ship and they made it transformable.
Yeah.
And then the people whose ship it was came back looking for that ship because it has some shit that they needed on that ship. Like, yo, we need whatever was on that ship. So aliens come, they invade Earth. So Earth military is battling the alien military for the shit they found on that ship. It's a pretty nice concept. They did 3 different story arcs, major story arcs with different type of technology, different casts and everything. So that was pretty cool. So that would be one if you haven't seen it. If you like and love Gundam, you'll really like Robotech.
Oh yeah, I definitely gotta check that out. Because I've seen a few episodes of it, and it wasn't like it was bad. I wasn't able to catch on to it.
It's slow. It's very slow. But also you have to remember that you came into the game with Gundam where there's already the idea of transformable mecha.
Yeah.
When I was watching Robotech, there wasn't a show before it that it took from.
Yeah.
It created all of these ideas of transformable robots that turn into jets. So it was the first time you'd seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like if you're talking about old school hip hop. It's like if somebody jumps into the game like gangster rap, it's like, oh, you gotta listen to Run DMC and like, you know, Public Enemy or somebody, NWA. You jumped in with 50 Cent, like, nah, these niggas was getting in. That's how I feel about Robotech. I feel like it's an important mega. Like I was watching the show, I was probably like 8, 9 years old, and characters were dying and shit. Like, yo, somebody just fucking died. This shit don't happen on the Flintstones.
Oh yeah, no. I remember the first time really seeing like actual Japanese stuff. So the first anime I've actually ever really saw was Akira.
Oh yeah, that was some trippy shit.
Yeah, and I didn't understand the story the first time I saw it. I just remember it's like, oh, this stuff is gruesome.
Yeah, it was trippy.
Like I thought something was wrong with me for liking it, because it was like gruesome. But I'm like, this is the coolest looking shit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and then like Dragon Ball started coming on like a little bit after I'd seen that, and so I was watching that for a while. But like it wasn't like Akira. Is nowhere near as gruesome. Obviously, like it was cool looking, you know, martial arts, but it was nothing like Akira, so I barely paid attention to it until like I was like 12, and that's when I really started paying attention to like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. But all before that, like I saw Akira and how gruesome it was, and I was just looking for like shit like that to watch.
Stuff like that, like Ninja Scroll was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, Ninja Scroll was dope.
Yeah, dude was that was crazy. Yeah. Dude basically raped that girl. Yeah.
So it's funny, the Rastafarian jiu-jitsu teacher actually played that movie for us.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, he's like, wow. Like, I want you guys to watch this shit and stuff. It's like, this is where the origins of jiu-jitsu and stuff started, is with ninjas and da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, wow.
During the Edo period, Japan, one of the most interesting periods of time. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Edo period. Have you watched Samurai Champloo?
Yeah.
that does a good job of educating Westerners on what the Edo period was like. It was just a wild period of time, bro.
Yeah, because every once in a while they did kind of stop and do like a quick little history lesson and stuff. Um, I know. I don't know if it was where I think it was Edo for Rurouni Kenshin. Was that Edo or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah? And
yeah,
then what was it? I'm a huge video game nut, so I played Samurai Warriors like
yeah,
most of those games, like that and Dynasty Warriors. That
yeah,
taught me so much about Japanese and Chinese, like I guess war history.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that shit is
like
so good.
those two games.
Yeah, my wife is Japanese and she's from Japan. So every year I go to Japan and I always want to go to like
Nice.
different samurai temples. So I've been to Kamakura, where the Great Buddha is at. I've been to Kyoto, like all these different historical places. I
Yeah,
like to go to, every time I go, I want to go see a new castle. You know what I mean?
nice.
And I go see some of these things. So I don't know. I'm just obsessed with that period of time. And for me, it happened early. Like your sensei was telling you guys, let's watch Ninja Scroll. This is the beginning
Yeah,
of samurais. And if you talk about the beginnings of samurais, to tie back into martial arts, jiu-jitsu came from that period of time. They had like a strong style and a soft style. And what they
yeah,
would do is if you were horseback fighting somebody with a sword, you had to find a way to disable their joints. So judo was a strong style initially. It was a lot more impact, but it also had to be, you couldn't just be super aggressive. Somebody's got a sword, you use their momentum,
yeah, yeah.
right? So there's reasons some of these arts evolved and came into being. And the samurais just drilled that shit. And it's lasted to this very day.
Hmm. It's crazy when you think about the origins of certain things. Like I found out a long time ago, but I remember finding out and then throwing me off when I found out that essentially kung fu originated from an Indian style of like meditation and martial arts, and I did not know that. Like, if you would have told me that like at random, somebody was like, "Oh, essentially kung fu came from India," I'd have been like, "Yeah, you're full of shit. You're a lie." But when you think about it, even I guess the concept of Buddhism actually originated more from there. Like Buddha himself, I believe, was actually like Indian.
Yeah,
So it doesn't surprise me when you think about the Shaolin monks, or I
interesting.
guess that I guess first kung fu master like style of being, I guess, around there. So it all kind of clicks when you really stop and think about it. But a lot of people just don't. So
No, that's very interesting you say that because Buddhism stems from Hinduism,
yeah,
right? There's a lot of the same concepts in the books. The dharmas are taken from the writing from Hinduism. Because I'm Buddhist, like I consider myself Buddhist. Um, I was raised Christian, but I kind of adopted more Buddhist. And I don't think Buddhism is a religion; it's more of a
yeah, I've
philosophy.
heard that it's more of a lifestyle than a religion.
Yeah, you meditate and you're mindful and appreciative of what you got going on. There's no
Hmm.
worship of a deity. It's
Yeah,
just it's just an appreciation for the present moment and a way to deal with life. So I consider myself Buddhist, but I do understand that Buddhism came from Hinduism. If you think about Tai Chi, I don't think Tai Chi is that much different than Kung Fu, right? Kung Fu is about the arts and doing the moves and the process more than it is necessarily a fight style, if I understand it correctly.
I
Um,
believe I get what you're saying. Yeah,
like in Tai Chi, it's in the movements, the breathing with the movements and being present in that movement in that moment. So that's what appeals to me about Tai Chi. I'm conflicted on Kung Fu. I don't know if Kung Fu is some bullshit or if Kung Fu really works because I haven't seen a Kung Fu fighter come in claiming Kung Fu, become champion in a mixed martial arts organization that I could recall.
um, I feel like I know of somebody, but I can't think of who it is. I think when it comes to martial arts, I think there's a lot of I think there's effective things of every true martial arts style. With kung fu, I believe there is a lot of use of certain things that they do. I know when I was training with Dana Morrissey for a while, he was telling me, to get one of those, those kung fu, the little wooden dolls,
Yeah.
because he's like, just doing that will just help so much with, that in pocket
Okay.
blocking,
Yeah, yeah.
because it is a lot of just small movements in a tight area. And he's like, just focusing on that is like using that will help you so much in just small areas in the pocket and things of that nature. And
Makes sense.
so I believe there's some usefulness, and I believe there are certain techniques and things. Obviously, the raw basics of it,
Mm.
I believe it can be useful, but obviously, as you get into certain things, there's a lot of things I feel like is done more or less for show, and because it brings in obviously money and attention. And
Yeah.
so I think more people are focused on the showy things that they don't even care to learn the basics that's actually going to be able to protect them. So
Yeah.
then you get those people who know how to do something showy, trying to show what a martial art is about, and they're getting beat by the basics of somebody else who's
Yeah.
actually paying attention. And
Yeah.
so it looks like that martial art shit when it's really that person who's more or less shit, because their only focus is looking a certain way because movies show them a certain way,
Boom.
and that's what they wanted to be.
That's a good point. See, that's a great conversation. I just leveled up. I leveled up my understanding of something because what you just said made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? And from just the way I'm looking at it, is like, well, every time I see a guy that's kung fu style, but you're like, no, it's not the art, it's the person. Okay, all right, how with that? That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense. What was I about to say? I guess let's just move on to like the next thing I wanted to highlight you about, and that is, what's that?
I'm just saying, no, for sure.
Weed. What was the last time you smoked some good weed?
Today.
What kind of weed did you smoke?
I don't know what it was called. I just got it from my coach, like sativa. So I went over there and smoked before training, and yeah.
Do you smoke before you train?
Yeah. Well, not every single training session, but some of them, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of jiu-jitsu guys like to smoke. It relaxes their mind and it puts them in that state where they're just locked in.
Yeah.
I can't, if I got like basic shit to do throughout the day, I don't like to smoke. But if I'm like gonna lock in for something that I know I like to do, I'm an enhancement smoker. I'm a focus smoker. If I got certain shit to do, let me smoke and let that open my mind up and let me just go.
Yeah. No, I feel it. That's more or less where I'm at. And like I said, that was one of the things I was talking about earlier, where I'm utilizing it now and just seeing how I feel with it as compared to how I feel without it. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I was like, some of it kind of just happened by accident. And this was one of those things,
Okay.
I've been using edibles for years for pain because pharmaceuticals have never set right with me, it never really has. And so whenever I'm like in deep pain, I remember how many times my coach is like, "Oh, just take an ibuprofen," and I'm like, I'm fine. Like, just something about taking some shit that has like all those side effects just never sat right with me. And so
yeah, 100%.
I can't do it. So I'm just usually just toughing pain out, or I might try to ice something or something. But eventually, a teammate of mine, my boy, his name is Nate, actually pal. I was over at his house after jiu-jitsu one night and I'm sore as hell. And he's like, dude, just eat some of these fucking edibles. Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, no, but I'm like at his house. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm at his house. Might as well. It's not going to kill me. I've smoked before. But I ate them. And I feel like I didn't feel anything for like the first hour and a half. And then we were watching this really dumb movie that became extremely interesting. And from there, I was like, all right, I can do this.
There's
So
a
that's why I started
long
using
wick
pain.
on edibles, right? There's a long wick on edibles.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I got a buddy of mine, Christian Cruz. He's a professional boxer.
Yeah.
And we're going out to San Jose on this fight. And I'm riding with his trainer. And he's like, hey man, I made some weed cookies. Go ahead and eat one. So he goes, matter of fact, eat one of them. They're strong. So I eat half of one, and I'm not feeling shit. We're just driving, boring ass drive from Concord to San Jose, and I'm like, I'm not feeling nothing. So I eat the other half of it. But by the time we get to San Jose, my guy, I am fucking baked. I can't talk. Like, I'm trapped in my own. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm this high. Oh, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I don't want to be this high. I'm like, I make a reason just to go for a walk. I'm like in San Jose, never been to San Jose. I'm just walking around trying to walk this shit off. I'm drinking water. So I'm like, yo, nothing is fucking working. I'm fucking bent. So then I got to go inside and act like I'm not. I should have just told everybody, yo, dude, I ate an edible. I'm just fucked up. So, but I'm trying to hide it from everybody. Bad idea. So now I'm paranoid that everybody knows I'm bad. It was just the worst high ever. Right. So that's my experience with edibles. Like, I can't control that high. And I know the wick is so long that I accidentally ate another half of a cookie because I didn't think I was going to get high.
Yep, that's. I started playing with it. Like, I just tried to have fun with it. Like, I used to, if it was a day, like, I knew I was going to get high, I would eat the edibles, then go run errands and try to make it back home before it hit. So, like, I try to go to the store, go grab some junk food. You know, it's like, let's see how much I can
own little mini video game. All right, here's the mission.
And usually, like, literally right as I'm getting home, it starts to hit, and I'm like, all right, just in time.
Did it? Yeah.
Like, one time while I was on my way, like, I left the store, and I was in a store for so long, I didn't realize I was in the store for like an hour or something. So then I'm on my way to Burger King, and I started feeling it. So then I'm like rushing home from Burger King. So it didn't like completely hit me before I got home because edibles, like you said, there's nothing I can do. Like, I can't train with edibles or anything in my system. It's just too much.
Some camera time, Lala. Hey.
What's up?
What's up, Lala? She gonna run away now. She gonna like when I pick her up. About to make my Boston Terrier a star. Nah, but let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. I need the backlight here. There we go. All right. Let's kick back in. So in terms of weed, you're not like a strain smoker. Have you ever smoked? Do you smoke like cookies, like the good weed like that, or are you more of an edibles person?
Cookies, definitely. I had their they made one, it was called so it was Ooh La La, and it was a blunt that I bought when I was out in Mount Shasta. And it was, I guess they did a collaboration with you know, the group Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
Mike's group, yeah. So they did a collaboration with them, and so they had this. They have a weed now. It's called Ooh La La. It's from cookies, but they had a blunt that they made, and it was rolled in hemp leaf and had a glass tip filter on it.
Oh
yeah, and that shit was too good. So now that's like the only like blunts I really want to smoke. I'll smoke other pre-rolls anyways, but like if I'm buying it, it's got to be those ones from now on.
Shelf shit. That champagne. You got that champagne to
Yeah.
Have you heard of a dude named Powers Up? He's the one that came up with Gary Payton. Have you smoked that Gary Payton?
No.
Ooh, man, fuck with that Gary Payton. How about cereal milk? Ooh, 2020 brought us some good strains. Those are the top two strains for me.
I had what is it? Wedding cake, I think it is. No, ice cream cake.
Ice cream cake is good. Wedding cake is good. And there's another one that was really hot in 2020, in my opinion. It was the biscotti mixed with papaya called Biscaya. The dude that grew that shit, he's growing like premium, like even from like the guy I'm getting it from, it's costing me $70 an eighth.
Damn.
Top of the food chain, beautiful, delicious, good heady weed, man. If you're
My
into
other coach gave
that,
me I got some stuff from one of my other coaches, and that shit it's been lasting me a while because I only got this small little pipe because I really just kind of I guess started with smoking. Like I didn't for the longest time until the day that I did right before training, and I only did that because one of my teammates was kind of around, you know. So he had came by and I'm like, come train with us, and he was kind of like bullshitting about it. I'm like, bro, come train with us and I'll smoke with you. He's like, all right, cool. He went and got a
okay.
blunt and came
You
back
gotta,
to train. And so I smoked with him and then we trained and I
oh, you froze, bro.
oh sorry.
All right. He
Yeah,
came
it
back.
was huh?
He said he came back to smoke with you. He bought a blunt.
Yeah. And what's the best way I can describe it? You know you can't really see yourself doing the things you do, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially you visualize it, right?
Hmm.
You have to visualize it and then you do what you're visualizing. And
Yeah.
that's basically just how action kind of happens. And so just that vision was so much clearer to me of what things looked like, and everything just felt so much better while I'm doing it. So we were drilling basic stuff at the time, but it felt so much better. It felt different. I just felt like I had a better understanding of what it was I was doing and how it looked and how it felt. And
Mm.
from then on, it was something I just like every once in a while, try it again, try doing this and realize that, when I am doing just that basic drilling or like sparring is when it's best for me. I don't learn well on it, but if it's something I
Mm.
already know that I'm just trying to, get a better grip on, it works amazingly well for that. And then sparring, it helps me out too. I just feel like I have less of that worry. Um, and then
Yeah.
I notice even when I like spar without it, I don't flinch and stuff as much as I used to. All that other little stuff, just all these tiny little things that wasted time, energy,
Mm.
and took away from the performance. I feel like a lot of these things are starting to fade away because of it.
Let me share a story with you. My dad, Leon Stansel Sr., he fought, he was drafted into the war for Vietnam in the
Hmm.
1960s. I think he was 19 years old. He got sent to war. Didn't volunteer, got drafted.
Yeah.
So they made him in the army. They made him a recon scout. He says first couple of nights he's on the point. He had to like look out for anything happening on the edges of the camp.
Hmm.
Like after he would do that, it would be his turn to come and go sleep, and he couldn't sleep. He was so fucking wired up because he'd been out there all night, hearing steps and tripping and basically paranoid.
Yeah.
He couldn't sleep. He was just fucking wired up. He said the sergeant comes up to him. He said, Stancil, get some sleep. He goes, I can't, Sergeant. I can't sleep. I just can't sleep. And Sergeant, here, smoke this. He said he handed him a fucking joint and some shit. He said he smoked that shit. Some China Blacks. He smoked that shit. Said he threw up. He said he slept like a baby. So he said that after that, being in the jungles of Vietnam, they smoked all the time and put him on point. So he was literally, his life was on the line. He says, well, if I wasn't smoking, I wouldn't have made it back. He goes, like that put me and my team on point. We'd hear if the cricket stopped, we'd hear it. We'd be aware of every little thing that's going on. So what you're saying is almost reminiscent of what my father told me was that what marijuana did for him physically and mentally was it put him on point. Sounds like for you, almost the same thing is it's putting you, you're not flinching if somebody throws a, you know what I mean? As
Yeah.
it comes to you, oh,
No,
nah,
it's
I see that's a flinch. I see that. I see
yeah.
you ain't gonna bust that right now, right? So
Yeah, and then it's just like I said, I don't let mistakes throw me off so much. There's a lot of times where, and let's face it, when we spar, a lot of us get into that feeling, not in a more or less malicious way, but still in a way to where you have that thought in your mind, oh, I gotta win the round.
mhm,
I gotta win this sparring round. But it's like it's sparring, you're not supposed to win, you're just supposed to learn,
yeah,
you
get back.
know. And so now when I look at it, that's where I'm looking at. It's like, okay, what am I learning right now? I'm not looking at oh, did he hit me more than me? Did he hit me more than I hit him? I'm more or less looking at, okay, what mistake did I make? How can I correct this mistake? How can I correct this mistake so it's not happening anymore? And I'll constantly keep putting myself back in that position to correct that mistake. So now, like, even my sparring has more intentional meaning to it to me
Mhm.
than it did before, as in just to, let me try to win the round. Let me see what I can do to win the round. Now it's more or less, okay, you know, how can I make the least amount of mistakes? And when I make a mistake, how do I fix this mistake?
To me, that almost sounds Buddhist to me, where you're in the moment. Before you were worried about the outcome, now you're a part of the journey. Like, let's stay in this journey of getting better
Hmm.
rather than focusing on the outcome.
Yeah.
Be here in this moment. This is the
Yeah.
important part here. Getting better is the important part, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to lead, ultimately, what we're expecting is to a better performance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it's, you said, it's just, as you grow, you just realize, what things you're doing and how helpful it is. How helpful is it for me to show how tough I am inside of a gym? It's like, it's cute, but it's not that helpful. Um, and then you see it, I listen to, obviously, the MMA podcast, a lot of Joe Rogan, you know,
Yeah.
and one of the things he constantly brings up is how in Thailand, they're not hard sparrers. You know, they drill kind of hard. They'll obviously hitting pads and stuff really hard, but when it comes to actual sparring, it's usually very just touch, touch. It's more speed, touch, focusing on timing, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And so you think about that, and you think about how most of those people fight, like, you know, damn near 400 plus fights in their entire career, and you're like, oh, how do they do that? Well, it's because they're not spending, so many more of those fights that they could have had, in their career. They're not
They're not leaving
wasting
their
them away at
career
the
in
gym,
the gym. Yeah,
you
they're not
know.
leaving their
And
career
so
there.
it's just one of those things, you sort of look at it, and then you see Max Holloway last performance, and he's talking about he didn't spar at all for that whole fight camp, and it's like, well, shit, there's something that is not just right. And you get to the point where you just realize, how helpful is this? How helpful is this? You start hearing about how many people get CTE and things of that nature, and then you start kind of hearing about how usually it's the bigger gloves that cause more of that effect, and you're usually wearing those bigger gloves only when you're
Right. All right.
sparring. So that's just kind of where it comes down to, where I'm starting to look at it, and I'm just like, okay, sparring hard, just, it's not worth it all the time. Like, I guess
This
every
sounds-
once in a while, maybe, if you feel like you gotta get a brush up in, or you have a teammate that's kind of in that mind frame, I guess. But for me now, I'm just focused on, when I spar, I'm really just focusing on my movement, um, my timing, really understanding my range as best as I possibly can. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just all these different things that matter so much more than how hard can I hit and how hard can I be hit, especially when I'm not getting paid for it at that point in time.
Let me ask you this. Your record is what it is now.
Yeah.
How different do you think your record would be if you had this mindset now, 7 years ago?
Oh, I'd probably just be like perfect. I
Yeah.
have like a perfect record. Like, no doubt in my mind, I have a perfect record.
I don't, and I'm dead ass serious. I don't even disagree. I do like a lot of podcasting on mixed martial arts. I break down a lot. I watch a lot of film on a lot of fighters. And one thing I always say is I don't like to bet on undefeated fighters because I feel like a lot of times they've had matchmaking that's kind of set them up for
Yeah.
success. And what happens, let's say they've had a lot of early knockouts. What happens when you get to the end of the second round and that guy is still there and he's still fighting? A lot of times these guys are collapsing themselves. And you can see a guy who's got 27 wins and 21 losses. That's a dangerous ass motherfucker. Like, he's clearly not going to crumble at the first sign of adversity.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there are guys who go on runs later in their career, and that's not an anomaly. that's kind of commonplace at the big.
Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira. There's
Yeah,
so many of them. Like almost every heavyweight, basically.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a thing. Especially, I feel like it's more of a thing definitely in the bigger ranks. But I mean, you even got some smaller guys, Frankie Edgar, who's been doing it forever. You know, BJ Penn was down for whatever. You know, he started a little bit later. So it's true. Matt Brown is a perfect
He's
example.
a
You know, he
perfect
had a
example.
very bad record from
Yeah,
the beginning, but
but
he
when it
just had to
clicks,
refocus himself and start doing what he had to do. And I
yeah,
feel like that's just what I'm doing.
yeah. When it clicks, right? It doesn't matter what your record is when it clicks. When it clicks,
Yeah.
and you can go on your run.
Yep.
Every other fight you've had up until the moment that it actually clicks is experience. It's
Hmm.
octagon time. It's cage time. It's experience of what didn't go so well and what did go so well. So I'd
Yeah.
imagine that if you're kind of coming into that, you make a nice run right here at one, and then there you go. You
Yeah.
didn't have to take the UFC route. You took a different route.
Yeah. And now one's about to start. One's starting on TNT now, so it's getting more broadcasting over in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's overtaking the Asian market completely.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I don't see it as any worse. Like,
I don't think I don't think any of them are the best. I think that
no.
everybody has to get the best deal for themselves because you have to realize that these organizations are not offering you ownership. They're not offering you equity. They're going to use you in a sense to create a catalog, a back catalog that they can sell to advertisers.
Yeah.
So if you aren't participating on the revenue share, you get the most money you can on the front end on this shit. Get all the money that you can, get as many fights secured as you can, and whether that be a ONE FC, Bellator, World Series of Fighting, PFL, or UFC, why the fuck would it matter to you other than for your own ego? The ego says, yeah, I want to be on UFC, but if another organization is offering you a better deal, why not go there?
Hmm.
And we're fight fans. We fucking want to watch fights. We don't really give a shit. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, UFC is the machine that we know we can go to for quality fights, and
Yeah.
we seem to amass most of the best fighters there. So, yeah, we watch that one more than any of the others. But if there's a good fight happening on another organization, we're all fucking tuning in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly it, and it's understandable. You know, UFC was obviously the first major, especially in America, first major MMA company, and they've been able to run with it, and they've been able to really set the ground for everything for so many others. But to say that that's the only good place is a lie. It's a great place. I'm happy for all my friends that are in it. you
Yeah,
know I'm
yeah, yeah.
happy for every single one of them I can see. Anybody I know, even people who've beaten me that's fighting in UFC. I remember when Dominic Reyes fought John Jones, and everybody's hitting me up about it, and they're like, "Oh man, dude, da 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 da, you see how close he got, and boom, and blah blah blah. You fought him and stuff, and da 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 da." And like for me, it's like that's exactly it. Like I got knocked out by him, but that guy who knocked me out, he just fought John Jones, and what people feel like is damn near the closest fight John Jones has ever had.
Some people
Um,
scored their ass. I didn't go that far, but it could have went either way.
yeah, a lot of people felt like he won.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm like, that's a good thing to me is that I'm fighting somebody of that caliber. Like, I'm glad that this person that knocked me out in a minute wasn't a bum. you
Yeah,
know, like I made a mistake and paid for it, and the person who capitalized on that is not a bum.
no,
He's not somebody
one of
who,
the best. He's one of the best in the world.
yeah, he's one of the best now.
And you've been in there with the best in the world, and now you can take that intel and apply it for the rest of your career. So
Yeah,
I have a buddy who I do a podcast with. Edmund Shabazian.
I've heard of him.
Edmund Shabazian is a top 5 welter, middle, top 5 middleweight in the world. And his brother Leon, his name is Leon, actually, me and him are the same name. But Leon was on the Contender, Leon Shabazian, and he took his first loss. And he went into that fight. He was very confident. He took that loss. That was over a year ago. I'm excited to see Leon compete again. I want to see what the loss did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Did it get him refocused? Did it break his spirit? Did it shake his confidence? Or did it make him more hungry? Did it humble him so that he realized that there was other facets of his game that he needed to improve upon if he was going to reach the point where he believes he should be, which is one of the top fighters in the world. He's not lacking for confidence, but that loss, I feel, was important for Leon. If you're listening, Leon, I love you. I just want to know what happens next. He's trained with Daniel Rodriguez. He's training with Marvin Vittori. And we talk about these things. So he's at Glendale with that Ronda Rousey's team.
Nice.
But I want to see him fight again. I want to see, it's his first loss. I want to see how he performs after that loss. And I think that if he does it the right way, he'll be better for it. Same with his brother, Edmund. Edmund is fighting against who? Edmund's fighting against the Joker. What's that motherfucker's name?
Michael Pereira or whatever? Or no, not Michael Pereira. I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of it. The guy who literally comes to the weigh-ins with like the Joker face paint and stuff on.
No, not that guy. Not that guy. That's that Mexican dude. The Joker. Let's see. Let me look it up real quick. I need a Jamie. I need a Jamie to look stuff up for me. He is going to be fighting against Jack the Joker Hermanson.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's his next fight.
Nice.
And that should be a really good fight. He's fighting middleweight out of Glendale.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting May 15th, as a matter of fact. So,
oh, wow.
He's coming off his first loss. Both of them had first losses. I'm only talking about this just to say that I don't think losses are necessarily the worst thing for fighters. As a matter of fact, I think they're good things.
No. I mean, I get that there's this niche, I guess, for perfection. In this world, it's like the closer to perfection you get, obviously, the better.
Yeah.
But I feel like, for one, that's just so unrealistic to actuality that, it's like, nah, I make mistakes and I pay for them, period. But at least I know that I don't just let mistakes keep me down. I'm going to pay for them, like I said, and I'm going to move on from it. Take that as a loss, or it be just something in life, period. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen to everybody at some point in time, unless you're smart enough to get the fuck out before it can happen. Like
before it happens to you, yeah. But George St. Pierre.
Yeah, but even George St. Pierre took losses. He wasn't perfect. He took losses, but he took them, and then he corrected mistakes and didn't lose again the same way. So it's still that tale of somebody who can, who can fall and get back up. It's more, I think, realistic than the idea of perfection. So
it's the American story. What Americans love is the story of a come up.
Yeah.
Then Americans love the fall of that guy who's made it to the top, or girl who's made it to the top. Then they love the comeback. And then the end, right? Come up, fall, come back, end. That's the American story. It's happened so many times. Mike Tyson, Dave Chappelle. Like, if you just think about all of these people, there's the come up, there's the fall off, then there's the end.
Yeah.
It's timeless. The story is timeless, man.
Yeah. No.
Speaking of timeless, what do you think about what do you think about the timeless stories that are in the MCU? So I'm good to talk to a fellow black nerd.
Uh-huh.
I was doing a show with my boy Gabe Killian. Gabe, I love you, but you suck at talking about topics. You don't fucking watch fucking sports or fucking anime. or fucking MCU movies. It's hard to fucking talk to you about shit. So much shit is going on. That's amazing.
Right.
Like WandaVision.
That was surprisingly good. The first two episodes,
He was
not
like,
so
what the
much.
fuck is this?
But like, oh, the very first one definitely, like, no, there was like almost nothing. Like the only thing that really clued you into it not just being just so random in the first one was when the dude was choking.
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like the mom from that 70s show. She was basically sitting there asking her straight up, like, "Hey," and you could tell she was asking her, like, "Hey, make it stop, make it stop." It
Yeah.
wasn't like, she was like looking at the girl asking her, and you're like, "Oh shit," she's actually talking to Wanda. What the
Yeah.
hell,
Yeah.
So it threw me off for so long.
I think that was the beauty of the show is that it started out, it swerved us. It's
Yeah.
like, well, this is just going to be a stupid ass sitcom, and I
Uh
don't
huh.
I'm here for this. What the fuck is this bullshit, right?
Right.
One episode in, like, this is some bullshit. Then the second episode in, it gave us all just enough to come back for episode
Yeah.
3.
I
Then,
still I still to this day want to know what happened to the dude in like the little beekeeper suit when she said no and just rewinded the whole thing. Like it never shows what happened. Like it showed who he was,
yeah,
but it never shows what happened to him after she said no and did the whole rewind thing. Like it
I think,
never shows what happened to that dude.
I'm pretty sure he just went back the other way. Like,
Yeah, like I'm guessing, like that's the only thing I think of, like unless he's just like dead in some time loop. Uh, like
that's
that
you
just
know that,
was
huh?
one thing that threw me off is that like the loud knocks make more sense now,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
obviously the first loud knock was the black girl coming in, and then the second one
yeah.
was the beekeeper dude. So like all these little differences that that now makes sense like after like that third, definitely that fourth episode.
At the end of that third episode, okay. So here's what I thought was so genius about the show. It was so slow in the first episode that when we merely saw the color red in episode 2, we're like, oh, what the fuck is that color? Oh,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And then to me, it was pacing. The pacing of it was they had to dare to be that terrible in the first episode and feel like we'll get them back. We're going to turn them off. We've got to kind of show the ideal world that she wants. Black and white, I love Lucy, da 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 da.
Yeah.
We're going to turn everybody off, but we'll pull them back in. They had to just know. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, and then it was like when they delivered, it was like, oh shit, this doesn't suck. Actually, this shit is fucking awesome. So you tell everybody, just get to the first couple episodes and then it's gonna get raw.
Especially by the time you get to the end and you really realize what happened and stuff, and it's like, oh crap.
This shit's fucking dope. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
because I really did think she stole Vision until
Yeah,
it shows that she didn't even take him. Like
yeah,
she just created her own Vision. Like I was
that
like,
guy,
oh shit. So that dude was just lying his ass off the whole time.
that
It was
guy.
just all these little just snaps. I just like, oh dang.
Yeah, it got me. Like, it got me. The whole shit got me. It was like, yo, this shit's fucking dope. And it was a different way to tell a story. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen stories told a lot of different ways to a lot of different genres. I've never seen a story told like this,
No. No. It
right?
was funny because like I feel like every episode kind of had a reference to like an actual sitcom going on.
Yeah,
So the whole like Office one, and I'm sitting
yeah,
here and I'm telling my
yeah.
wife, I'm like, oh, they're making fun of it because we watched it all in one night. It went silent.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Right. That was called the fourth wall,
yeah,
and was when they went to the year 2000s for those shows.
yeah,
210s, yeah. I remember that. That was good. It was like, okay. It was kind of like winding down the show
yeah,
where she was finally talking to us.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We had been there the whole time. And it was almost like she knew, we meaning us, the viewers, me and you, actually watching the show. Like,
Yeah.
been there the whole time. They've been communicating with us the whole time, telling us a story.
Yeah.
And then she finally addressed us, and I thought that was pretty fucking awesome.
No, I agree. I agree.
And then the Agatha swerve was crazy. Agatha swerve is one of the best moments in TV that I've seen in a long time.
I did not know what that was literally until I seen it. Like everybody was just posting pictures of that lady and was just hella random stuff. Like it was a meme before I seen the episode.
Oh, really?
And that's probably the one thing I definitely hate about today is things become memes before you can even get the context on it.
I actually started watching it the day it came out to avoid that. To avoid the spoilers. All right. Actually, did you watch Mandalorian?
Yes.
Something got spoiled on Mandalorian for me. Like episode, like one of the important things that happened, like episode 4 or 5. So after that, I just started watching it the day it came out. And boy, am I glad I did, because spoiler alert, turn off if you haven't watched Mandalorian, when Luke Skywalker showed up in
that was dope.
8, I jumped out of my seat like a little fucking Star Wars bitch and jumped up there like, yo, fucking Luke. Oh shit, it's fucking like I fucking popped. I went nuts for that. That was dope. And if that had been ruined by some fucking troll on the internet, I'd be so fucking bad.
I'm about to follow your lead and go in my garage real quick and light one up.
Yep. To the end of my last high.
Huh?
I was coming to the end of my last high.
Oh. Well. I gotta get ready to go to bed anyway.
So good. I just wanted to make sure we got that in. And also,
no. I'm not saying we got to get off. I'm just saying I usually smoke before I go to sleep.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, so that was really good. Mandalorian was fucking amazing.
Yeah, Mandalorian was dope. I don't see why they didn't tell that story a long time ago. I love that shit.
Well, you know who put that story out? Who's the producer?
What was it, Kevin Feige or whatever? Was it him or the other guy, Dave Filoni?
It was Kevin Feige is part of the team, but it was holy shit, what's his name? I forgot his goddamn name. Jon Favreau.
Oh yeah.
Jon Favreau was the one who brought us Iron Man.
Yeah. Jon Favreau, so he plays doesn't he play the fucking butler?
No,
Iron Man?
He played Foggy.
Yeah, like his driver and shit.
Yeah, yes, his driver, not his butler. Yeah. Jarvis was the butler. Yeah, like a couple episodes. He's basically known as the new father of the MCU because he was the one that made it a reality.
Yeah, they did good with it. I'm excited to see what they do with I can't think of his name. Black Panther.
Chadwick Boseman. Huh? Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what they do with it with him gone. I wonder if they're just gonna actually give it to Siri or if they'll just like make some other person Black Panther.
The initial talk I heard is that they were gonna give it to Shuri. But here's the thing. If you do that, you kind of go outside of the comic book canon. He doesn't die in the comic books. And it's a valuable property. Why would you kill off that character?
Yeah.
So the initial thought was they were just going to do it like that and give it to Shuri. But I think they're kind of thinking of, we have to keep, they did $1 billion with that movie. Turns out people are interested in black superheroes.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew?
Right.
They gave it a try and it worked.
But like I said, and even with that, like I keep seeing something like, didn't Blade actually save Marvel?
Because there wasn't a plan beyond it. That was just a good movie. There was no plan. Like
See, and
when
that's why, like, I'm not trying to say like it's fact. I'm just like, that's why I was posing as a question, like, because I'm seeing something about it, like, because Blade did so well, that actually saved Marvel's like filming thing, because I guess Marvel was going to shut it down at some point when Blade
oh,
came out,
okay.
and they're like, okay, maybe there is something here.
You know what? Okay, that's a different way to look at it. Um, yeah, okay, I can see that. I don't think they didn't do Blade as a superhero though.
Yeah,
They just did him as a regular vampire movie. You know what I mean? It wasn't
yeah.
in a Marvel way. Now they could reintroduce him in a very Marvel way, and
Aren't they doing that right?
I think they may.
Yeah, because I thought dude that played what's his name? I can't say his name. Marshall Ali or whatever.
Marshall Ali, yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
supposed to
going
be
to play.
Blade now.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I guess that means he will be MCU. I was kind of thinking they might keep it separate, but no, why would they? When you have this rich universe to dip him into.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so
he died off in Luke Cage.
yep, he was Cottonmouth.
Yeah, and
So
so
we
I
introduced him
remember when they were doing like some big MCU event, and they were like kind of telling what movies and stuff they were coming out with. Like all the way at the end, he walks out on stage and he puts on a hat that says Blade on it.
That's actually dope. Now that you say that, now that you mention that, yeah, dude, I can
Yeah,
see Marshall Ali and Blade and introducing that to the MCU is
yeah,
actually a great fucking idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Oh, you didn't see the most recent episode of Winter Soldier and Falcon.
No, I didn't see the one that just happened.
Okay, so I won't spoil it for you,
Yeah.
but we'll have to have that conversation because there's some sick ass scenes in this next. The next episode is pretty fucking dope.
Uh,
I kind of went into Falcon Winter Soldier thinking this is going to be more typical Marvel superhero-y fighting.
yeah.
Falcon's going to be flying with his wings on. He's barely using those wings. It's just like it's part of it, but they're exploring like what it means to be a black superhero after the blip. That's fucking
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
That's a much deeper take than I thought they would do. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. That bank scene was like, I remember seeing people talk about it, and I'm like, okay, we'll see. And then I watched it, I'm like, oh wow. And that was pretty just like kind of spot on how it was like it did kind of just answer that question, kind of like, and it was that weird question that you kind of had but never wanted to ask,
Yeah, yeah.
there it was just answered for you anyways, and it's like, all right, cool,
Like,
we
damn,
can
niggas
do
ain't got credit even with superpowers. I could be in the Avengers and not get no credit. Damn,
this.
really? Shit. That was almost too real. I was like, damn, is it really like that? That was almost too fucking real. But then what I thought was really interesting was they did the Black Super Soldier.
Yeah, and
It's
then they do. So I knew I'd seen that dude somewhere before and looked it up, and I realized, that he was the Mantis. That actor, he played the Mantis in that old superhero TV show from way back in the day.
oh really?
Yeah, and it was called Mantis, and he was a scientist that was in a wheelchair, and he made like this little exoskeleton suit that gave him, that helped him stand, but it made him like super strong, super fast and stuff. And so he
Okay.
was fighting crime as the Mantis, but during the day he was just
Doing the
like
whip.
a paraplegic scientist.
Oh wow. Okay. And see,
Yeah.
I didn't know that, and you just put me up on game. I'm putting this up on Planet E jobbing.
That's
I'm
what's
gonna
up. That's what's up.
Planet E jobbing, man. But no, I
Yeah.
didn't.
And I think I swear that they posted about that on there too. I know I've seen they're like giving the dude credit as like, he's black acting royalty basically,
Okay.
because he did that. He did a few other things I can't think of all. But I remember watching the Mantis, like I said, when I was like 6 and shit. And I remember watching that shit. And it was like around the time when I started martial arts. And so it like had a little bit more meaning to me because I'm seeing him do kicks and shit, and I'm up there like, oh, wait, I just learned how to do kicks like that
Okay, I
earlier.
can do that shit. Check this shit out. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, and then so the story with that guy is again to me it's so interesting that this is where they went with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't expect this. They're exploring the black experience as a superhero without it coming over the sounding like over the top or you're forcing it. Now, this is just what's going on while these dudes are trying to figure out this
Yeah.
issue over here. It's not the crux of the story. It's just part of the story.
Yeah.
So the black super soldier is the guy that ripped off Bucky's arm.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Uh-huh.
So think about this. He was so dope that he fucked Bucky up. But because he was black, he wasn't like turned into a American icon. They fucking took his blood. You remember?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw this part where the scientists are talking about we
Yeah.
took
Yep. I
blood.
remember. I
Yeah, we
remember.
took this guy's blood. It's like, oh, that's what the guy was saying is that they put me in jail and they took my blood.
Yeah, when he was
So
sitting
they
there in
connected
the
those. Like,
house.
oh shit! So this motherfucker had to endure some bullshit, even though he was a super soldier,
Yeah.
a powerful super soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That's how powerful racism was that they didn't even put him on after he was all that. So it's like, man, I don't know. To me, that was like it just gave the story another layer of the story. Like, yo, this is fucking dope. Like they're exploring some shit that we should have talked about a long time ago.
Yeah.
All the superhero dudes was white. I still liked them. I watched them all. It was just like they were all white, and I never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
All these cast is white dudes.
Yeah.
I just love the genre. I love superheroes. So I never really
Yeah.
tripped.
And then I mean, after a while they all kind of decided to make, black versions of, half of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they did.
like one thing I've always wondered, and I wonder if it's true. You hear it every once in a while, and you kind of wonder if it's true. I really do want to know, and I wanted to ask him it personally, but obviously he died before that could be. I really wanted to ask Stan Lee personally if he really did make X-Men, make Charles Xavier and what's his name based off of
Yeah.
Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I wanted to know if that was a real thing or if that was just people just kind of putting it out there.
That's a real thing.
And that's dope as fuck if it is, like
because also Black Panther. Think about Black Panther. He was made in the '60s. What was going on in the '60s? The Black Panther movement. Like, no, he was paid. He was locked in. Stan Lee was so far ahead of his time. He was creating timeless characters that America wouldn't be ready for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was that far ahead of, I'm gonna make a character that we call the Black Panther. He's gonna be from not a primitive tribe in Africa, an advanced tribe, you know what I mean, with more intelligence and more resources, you know what I mean? Like, but that wouldn't be embraced for 50 years. You feel me? Nah,
and see, that's just crazy. Like, it's just crazy to think about,
It just gives me that much more adoration for who he was. You know what I mean? That's how I choose to look at that, because the other side is also true. It's like, man, he had to do all this. You know what I mean? So, he was just dope.
Yeah, and it is weird. Like, when you think about it that way, it's weird too. Like, people can understand the problem with separatism when you're looking at it in a fictional way. It's like, oh wait, these are mutants and those are regular humans, and people are mad. I was like, oh no, that's wrong. It's like, but you don't see that as wrong in your everyday life. The things that kind of happen.
Believe me, that's just been over for thousands. That was thousands of years ago. Like,
no, so it's that's dope though. Yeah, I really wanted to know if that was real or if that was just people capping just to give something meaning to something that wasn't. I mean, you can definitely see the resemblances, but
you can definitely see the resemblances.
Like, when you stop and think about it, you 100% see resemblances.
Yeah.
So I'm not even saying, like, I never wanted to say it's not true, but I couldn't just let myself hang on that being the truth because I wanted it to be the truth, because I definitely wanted that to be the truth, because that would be the dopest thing, But
I thought I read it somewhere. I know enough people have theorized about it, and just knowing who Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were at the time, they was woke before there was a woke. So I really believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I really believe that to be true. I heard speaking of podcasts, just kind of a reach here, but there's a podcaster by the name of Joe Budden. I'm not sure if you ever paid attention to him.
The rapper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's actually got a really good podcast. And then there's Charlemagne. You know Charlemagne the God
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on the Breakfast Club,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of had like a little beef where they were critical of each other. And Charlemagne always insulted Joe Budden, saying like, "Oh man, you've been doing your show, but you don't have any advertisers. You're not getting paid off of your show. This whole time, you could be advertising." And Joe Budden's is like, "I don't want to advertise because I don't want to mess with my audience's show experience. I don't want to have. You can't buy into my product at this point in time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold out." And then Charlemagne got a deal with iHeartRadio. It was like he owned 50% of it, and it's like the Black Effects podcast network.
Yeah.
And then he was critical of Joe Budden because Joe Budden lost his deal or didn't renew his deal with Spotify. And Joe sits there and he goes, "Charlemagne, I need you to understand something. Like, and you're talking shit about me as if I don't know how to run my business and conduct my business, but me and you aren't having the same fight. You created a black podcast network and gave them half of it the first day you released it, because I'm not fighting that same fight. I own 100% of my shit. So I'm not saying you wrong. What I'm saying is that me and you as the X-Men, you're Professor X, I'm Magneto. I'm trying to tell niggas, come follow me. We can own our own shit and we don't need them. And you're selling your shit out the gate. So you do that, but don't talk shit about me because I'm doing a different thing."
Yeah.
I just love that analogy. You're Professor X, I'm Magneto. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to work with them. I'm saying we don't need to work with them. We can do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Love that analogy. And on that, I think that's a good point to put a period at the end of this podcast.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, man. Good talking with you again, man.
Definitely,
Good to like
definitely.
have some time to chop it up and really kind of explore. Just not just to fight things. I know you're a fighter, but but when I see you post things, you're more interesting than just a fighter.
Yeah. I try not to, so I don't even really post about my personal life anymore. But like, I try to give enough of myself for people to, I guess, understand me. But like anything besides that and fighting, it's just not like I don't post like anything political or any beliefs and stuff like that. I just don't see Facebook as a place where people care. It's like I can post it and I get the idea of, awareness, but I'm to the point where you know what the fuck is going on before I post it on the internet,
Yeah,
like especially by the time I get the information, you already know what the fuck is going on.
yeah,
You should already know you know, how anybody feels about anything, you know, that should be considered wrong or unethical, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So I just don't see why I need to, put that opinion out there because the people that are listening, they're not really going to listen. They're just going to want to give their 2 cents on it, and it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just like, I'm good.
I agree with you, and I feel like if people, that's why one thing I like about podcasting is I can throw things out there, and then I won't necessarily Facebook about it. I'll talk about it on the podcast. So if you want to
Hmm.
know how I feel about this, come to this format where they don't have to type out a whole bunch of shit that could be misconstrued and misinterpreted. I can
Exactly.
talk about it in a long form here where it can't be misinterpreted. I can get as deep, or I can hold back as much information as I choose to give out, or decide to give up, or keep to myself. But I just like this format. And if I'm Joe Rogan in this shit, I would think you could be, you know what I mean, Brendan Schaub. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
You know what I mean? Like you have a very interesting, a unique perspective on it. I think your perspective on things is very unique, especially in terms of fighting, because very often what people hear is the former UFC fighter and now they podcast or they're doing this show or whatever. But you're a fighter. Your story is no less relevant than anybody else's story who's ever fought. And it's just different. And I think your perspective is fresh. And I think that people might gravitate towards that.
Oh, thank you.
I
Yeah.
think it's what I think. It's what I honestly think is because you're not just an idiot that just wants to fucking punch other people in the face. You know what I mean? I think that people watching you for the first time hearing you talk like, this guy's a fighter. He's very soft spoken. Like I'm used to fucking idiots like Marvin Vittori coming out there calling everybody an asshole and saying fuck shit all the damn time. Like a lot of fighters come out like they throw their poop at each other. It's like, yo, you don't have to do that. You know, it worked for Connor.
Yeah.
I get it, but just be yourself. It worked for Connor
Exactly.
because that's pretty close to who he was, right? That's who he just was.
Yeah.
Didn't change it to fit in. So don't change it to be like him either. That's not why it works for him.
Exactly. And everybody's like, "Oh, well, he's a nice person." It's like nobody's saying he's a mean person, but he definitely knows how to throw his ego out there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you can tell it's all ego. You're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's just talking out his ass." Like it's cool, but he makes it happen. You know.
You can see it in his losses. You can see it in his losses that he stopped putting the work in. He got the money. He secured the bag. He pulled $100 million out of a Floyd Mayweather fight. He pulled probably 30 out of a Dustin Poirier fight. Another 25 out of a Donald Cerrone fight. So he's just gonna milk this fight game for as many fights as he can and just disappear. Feed his ego along the way on his way out. Get more and more humble on the way out, and try not.
I don't care what anybody says about the man. It was inspiration. It was inspirational shit to me to see him pulling up to that last fight in a yacht. Like that'll be some dope shit to do. Like for me, if I can, if I can picture my perfect last fight as a fighter before I retire, I'm trying to pull up to that fight in the yacht. I'm pulling up with a yacht and a blunt in my mouth. So I'm like, let's do this. like planes ain't the shit no more.
That's a stunt. That is a stunt. You pulled up with a yacht. Like, fuck y'all bitches. I'm pulling up with a yacht.
Like, nope, just pay my yacht bill for right now. I don't need I don't need a hotel. I don't need no plane tickets. All my coaches is good. We don't need your food.
Yeah. You dream bigger after that. Like, damn, nigga, shit. I was trying to get me a fucking Bentley, pull up in a Bentley. But
like, no.
Niggas is pulling up in yachts right now. So I better at least pull up in some type of boat, some type of seafaring vessel.
Like something, right? Like it's just private plane.
It's a speedboat. Please pull up in the speedboat. Yacht's expensive. That's top of the food chain. Speedboat, man. Something bigger than a fishing boat. You know what I mean? Something clean. Something clean. A pontoon or some shit.
Something.
So all right, man. Hey, good chopping up with you, man. We got to do this again.
We'll do it again. Definitely. I'll clean up next time. Get my hair cut and shit. Do it again.
As long as you got this camera and not your fucking phone. Holy shit.
Oh man, yeah, nah. I gotta get a new phone, but it's just like bottom of my priorities when it comes to money right now.
All right, so hey y'all, thanks for checking this out. This is Smack God Pod episode 2 with Jordan the Juggernaut pal. Hey, is that not taken from X-Men Juggernaut?
Huh? Yeah, it was taken from X-Men.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely taken from X-Men. It was that first dubbed over thing when people started doing it.
Oh yeah.
When dudes started dubbing over, it's like, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just take that.
Yeah. So Jordan's a Juggernaut pal. More than just a fucking brain dead fighter, as you see right here. You know, we was on our Planet E job and shit, our black nerd shit, our fight shit, our martial arts shit. You know what I mean? We didn't get to our music shit. You know what I mean? Maybe next time we'll get into some of that.
Yeah.
Yo, so anyway, yeah, I'm Black Joe Rogan. This is Black Brendan Schaub on the other side of me. You know what I'm saying?
Late.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, follow Jordan. What's your Instagram?
It's Juggernaut Pal MMA.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm Smack the God on the ground and Fight Line Sports on Twitter. Come find me. I be talking my shit. You feel me? All right, man. Thanks
Yes.
for coming on, bro. I really appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.